we're on our last problem for the midterm study guide. So, in this problem from chapter 13, we're trying to determine what C would be using the 3-4-5 triangle method. So, I just want to go over a little bit about what the 3-4-5 triangle method is. So, the two legs are 3 and 4, where the hypotenuse is 5. And this is a really nice relationship between these sides, because 3 squared is 9 plus 4 squared is 16 equals 25. And this is actually an example of the Pythagorean theorem, where a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where this is b, this is a, and this is c. So it's just a nice way to kind of get these relationships between these sides without actually having to do the Pythagorean theorem. I'll discuss a little bit later how to check to make sure that you've done your math right and your factors are reasonable using the Pythagorean theorem. But this is just an easier way to do these calculations without having to do that. Alright, so in this case, our b is 9, our a is 12, and we don't know what c is. So the Pythagorean theorem, the 3-4-5 triangle theorem, is just saying what is the factor that relates these sides. So in this case, b is 9, so what would you have to divide this by to get to 3? So I'm going to jump on over here. So, and then similarly, what would you have to divide 12 by to get 4? So I'm going to take this one at a time. So 9 divided by x equals 3. And we want to solve out for x, so we multiply x by both sides and then divide by 3 on both sides, and we actually get 9 divided by 3 is x. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So for b, we know that if we multiply 3 times 3, we get 9. And that's the first leg of our triangle all figured out. But just in case I've made a mistake somewhere, or you have a more challenging triangle that you need to figure out, let's also check a, just to make sure that these relationships actually make sense. So going back, what do we have to divide 12 by to get to 4? So I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did for side B. So 12 divided by x is 4, and then after rearranging these terms by multiplying x on this side and then on both sides, and then dividing by 4 on both sides actually gives you 12 divided by 4 equals x, which is 3. So our sanity check is done. 3 is what relates these two leg sides to our original 3-4-5 triangle side. Alright, so then with that knowledge, we then figure out what our C is. So I'm going to move the paper up a little bit. Alright, so we know that the 3 is actually the factor that's relating these sides to the 3-4-5 triangle. So we want to multiply, so we want, since we want C, we want to multiply each side of the equation by 3, which will cancel out the 3 on this side, but we'll leave the 3 on this side. So 3 times 5 equals C, as rewritten here, and that's 15. So while this isn't a 3-4-5 triangle, since each side is related by a factor of 3, it still follows the same rule, because since each side of this triangle is all related by the same factor, then we know that we can use the 3-4-5 triangle to relate these sides. So like, let's say that let's just say like the b factor was 3 and the a factor was 4, then we know that this isn't that it doesn't work. But since all of the factors, if you divide each side by 3, you get to your original 3, 4, 5 triangle, then we know that this works. Um, and just to sanity check ourselves, just to make sure that we have the right answer and we understand, I did another little example down here. So, using the Pythagorean theorem, we're able to um, figure out what C is like the long-handed way. So our value for A was 12. So using the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where a and b are the legs of the triangle and c is the hypotenuse, we're able to use that. So A is 12, so 12 squared, plus b squared, which was b, where b was 9, so 12 squared plus 9 squared equals c squared. So 12 squared is 144, b squared was 81, and once you add these together, it's 225. So the square root of 225 is 15, and so then we know that our solving of this problem using the 3, 4, 5 triangle is correct, because in both cases we got 15. And that is actually it for our midterm study guide. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email us. I hope that these